what kind of advice could you give to them?
This gonna sound crazy. I had to give up. I had to get to like the precipice of that mountain of, am I gonna do this shit or not? Like I attempted suicide. I'm not telling nobody to do that.
So
I'm saying like completely dive into your rock bottom. Because a lot of times we'll play with it, like we'll kind of do the double dutch, and you'll be close to your rock bottom, but you still, you know, I can call something through on Thursday and Saturday, bust something down and feel good for 15, 20 minutes. I'm saying remove all those crutches. Remove all those energies that may be kind of sugarcoating or painting over the fact that rock bottom is right here, ready to be the soil for you to build the next version of yourself. But you've been doing double dutch for 10 years with the club, right? With smoking, with drinking, with the randoms that you're running through. Allow yourself to break. I think Sabrina Claudio got a song, I forgot the name of it, where she said breaking is freeing, right? Just break. Once I finally allowed myself to break, to die, that's when that soil got the nutrients it needed from my pain, which gradually started to work itself back into this version of myself that's now sitting before you. So that would be my advice. Allow yourself to break. Yeah.
Yeah. TK. Jersey. I've been on the grind, man, all it took was patience. That money on my mind, man, all I see is hating. He jocking on the low, man, you know the kid is wavy. Like how you mad at me when you know you're fucking lazy. Should've changed.
What's going on? What's going on? We back. It's another episode of Health and Hip Hop Podcast Show. Shout out to Tori Key. Awesome host. Always love. We back with another special guest. But special guest back to the 11 time. Docs Diggla, Brick City Buddha.
In the flesh. I mean, we can't call me a guest at this point.
Not a guest.
4th episode, so I'm an extended family member now. But we here.
We here.
Yeah.
We back with another great episode.
We looking good.
Who?
We.
Yeah,
we look. I'm looking at the cameras and whatnot. We looking good. We looking fresh.
Affirmations. Appreciate
Facts.
you, my brother.
Facts.
We back with another great episode. You know, we in this journey, right? Health and hip hop, right? So we back with something a little bit different. A little bit flavor on it. Healing for dads. But first, before we get into this great episode, we need y'all to do us something, you know, like, subscribe, like, share, like, comment. However, after looking at the episode and you get something great from it, we want y'all to do something great for us that help us out with the algorithm, which is watch another episode immediately after, as well as share something with a family member, a friend, a brother, a cousin, somebody that you care about that you want to put up on game that we gonna spit in this episode.
It ain't no fun that the homies can't have none.
Why not, right? So, thank you. So, we gonna get into this episode, Healing for Dads, because dads are important as well. And hip-hop, we have a lot of men that's in our community, which is this number one genre that we have in the world. So, we want to put a little flavor on it, Healing for Dads.
Fire.
So, we know that hip-hop...
Peace, Dad.
Peace, Dad. Peace, Dad. How you doing, Dad?
I'm blessed.
Temperature
man.
check.
Yeah, I'm blessed. Actually just took my son for his first day of his new school this morning. You know, I live in Houston now. Still in the bricks, still in Jersey a lot. So I came up for Peace in the Park yesterday, a community event, and then this morning I was able to take Marty to his new school. Shout out to the school he was at last year. I'm not gonna say him by name. They made sure he ain't die, right? So that's always a plus. But he's extremely advanced, and even though it's pre-K, they didn't do a lot of like the mental aspect of it, right? They made sure they got home safe and all that type of stuff, which is beautiful. But he needed something that was gonna push him a little bit more outside of what we was doing for him. Because to a large degree, at least when I'm with him, I take a homeschooling approach. Like he was with me for the whole summer, and of course we have fun. Of course I plan things for us to do. But every day he had to do schoolwork. So I was his teacher for about 4 or 5 hours a day. He's 4 years old, writing complete sentences. I got to be careful where I drive because he can read everything, every sign. He can read curses on people's shirts now, so I just got to be easy where I take him. Speak Spanish, subtraction, addition. So, yeah, we started him in a new school, so we just did that today. So that was a moment. That was definitely a moment.
Appreciate you, man, because we need that. Yeah. Because sometimes, dads, we get a little bad rep.
Yeah.
But we spinning that narrative. So before we get into, the really meat of the episode, who or is there a rapper that you see that's a great dad that you could pull some game from, or that you just admire, or you just, just acknowledge that's doing some great things, that's a great rapper and a great dad?
Battle rappers count?
Battle rappers count. They rap too.
Shout out to Daylight. And it's funny because, I watch, he not in the ring as much. So if you're going to keep up with Daylight, you're going to watch his, his YouTube episodes and things of this nature, which is always interesting. But literally every episode, at some point, he's going to stop even addressing the camera because his son or somebody done came in the room and he'll just sit there while the camera rolling, spend 5-10 minutes with his son and then send him on his way and then get back. He don't even care about the camera when his son come in the room. And that's been the case as long as I've been watching Daylight's YouTube. So shout out to my brother Daylight for always just stopping the world when his son is around. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because we need that, to spend that time, and it's not always just the academic aspect of it or the money aspect or the materialistic aspect. You got to spend that time. And that time is very important. Yeah. And there's a lot of learning that happens within that as well. Mine, I want to say, is Currency. Currency is a rapper that, he's more so like on the underground, but he still do his thing and hold his own.
Every Pilot Talk is still in the rotation for me.
1, 2, and 3. Probably a 4 on the way. But, I watch him, he have his son like washing the cars with him, so that's just something that's just very, very important because you need that, you need that role model and you need that time. So he's going to reflect on those moments as he get older, and that's going to help him to be, stable, and be like really consistent, so that's something that's awesome.
And he got a lot of cars, so that's a lot of quality time for them to get in.
Quality. So on this episode, we're going to be diving in on Healing for Dads.
Let's get it.
Because us fathers, we do a lot. Sometimes we don't always have the avenues or the tools in our toolkits to navigate through what's going on in our lives. We go through a lot of stuff as well, but we don't always have that support system like the ladies do. So we want to make sure as fathers got that stuff too, because on Father's Day, we don't always just want grills and, all the
socks,
time or whatever the case is.
Slippers.
Socks.
I don't want no socks.
Come on, I want something a little
If you want to give me some socks, give me some of these, but... Yeah, I'm with you.
On the edition. Give me a sock with an edition,
no doubt.
But touch on some stuff that we really, need as well.
Right, massages, spa days, that type of gift. Yeah, no doubt.
So we going to dive on that.
Okay. Okay.
So, healing for dads. First off, in your aspect, what's healing?
Like I always say, people got a lot of misnomers on healing, especially when you're talking to men. Like, healing is almost like a dirty word because to a certain degree, even saying that word about yourself, your desire to heal, it's almost like you admitting that you're not perfect, that something has hurt you or damaged you in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of men don't like admitting that to themselves. I know I didn't. Before I got to the healing journey,
me either.
It was hard for me to look in the mirror and even let the thought go through my head that I wasn't okay. I did that for so long until it hit the fan and, kidney conk out, go blind, depressed, suicidal, homicidal. But for me, healing is not necessarily like about just being emotional, crying and stuff like that. That's part of it sometimes. I just cried yesterday at Peace in the Park. One of my brothers that I knew from Instagram, like, just poured into me in a certain way. And he said a certain sentence that just kind of struck my heart. He was like, "Doc, I thought you knew who you were. You don't even know who you are." And he was trying to tell me like how much of an impact I'm making that sometimes I don't see or maybe acknowledge because I'm just in my rhythm. So it's not just that though. For me, healing is more so about seeing more of yourself, seeing more of yourself accurately. And with that, you are able to, when you do it properly, you can balance that masculine and feminine principle. Because of course the feminine being more so that emotion, the masculine being more so of how to fix situations, problem solve, like we've talked about in the past. So when you understand within that emotion is wisdom to be able to balance things out, to see things more clearly, now the masculine energy can come to the party and not feel away, not feel like the only man in a room full of women. Now the masculine energy understands I'm safe in this emotion too, because at the end of the day, it's something in that emotion that's going to affect my bottom line, my finances, my love life, my family. So now both masculine and feminine can come to the party. So to me, that's what healing is.
Mm-hmm. So fellas, as we going through this show, we want to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. This is a safe space because, we recognize that we've been through some stuff, but this is a safe space where we going to get to it. So we ready to get to it? Okay. So what is that feeling, right? We going to dive right into it. What is that feeling that us men get, right, when we start thinking about cheating?
Cheating? Oh, we going straight to it.
Yeah, straight
we
to
going
it.
straight to it.
Straight to it.
What is that feeling?
Yeah, what is that feeling?
I was just with Tori working with her women's group, and we was talking about the 4 primitive urges. This is a concept from yoga where most of our thought traffic is going to one of these highways. Mm-hmm. So you got food being the biggest one. You got sleep, right? For the most part, we going through the course of our day fantasizing about what we going to eat, and being able to lay up in the bed, get under your covers and say F the world, right? Mm-hmm. The 3rd primitive urge is sex/self-preservation. And then the 4th primitive urge is, sex/entertainment. 4th primitive urge is self-preservation. So when you start to, via meditation, mindfulness and all of that, you start to give yourself distance from those programs, you start to realize what this sensation or the desire to have sex, busting up, whatever you want to call it, it's actually the desire to reconnect with source. And I say all the time, until a man starts to do that work, the closest he gonna get to God is coming out of his mother's womb or going into a woman's legs, you know what I'm saying? And that's a powerful energy. And if you don't have any other access outside of that, then you're gonna be relegated to that. It don't matter how much you love your lady, how good a woman she is, how well she does that thing that you like in the bedroom. Right. That's going to satiate you in a moment, but the thought traffic is constant. Whether you're in the bed with her or not for that 30, 45 minutes, as soon as you leave and, you gather your energies again within a day or 2, you kind of right back to the same thing, and your woman not going to be with you all day, every day. You still got to go to the gym. You still got to go to work. You still got to go chill with the homies. Yep. And you seeing women the whole time that's triggering and heightening how much energy is going into that 3rd primitive urge, which is the sex/entertainment. So to a large degree, when I work with men and women, it's not a matter of men necessarily being sinister and their cheating habits. It's the fact that they don't understand how the system works, how the mind connects to the man, and what you got to do to be able to pull yourself out of that program. A lot of people talk about spirituality. They'll burn the sage. They'll post their little 2-minute meditation that they did once a month. But we really not taking it serious how important it is to be able to create those spaces and the constant traffic going to these urges, of course, especially sex. And, with our phone, we constantly scrolling something. We see sex everywhere. In the 80s, you had to go buy a tape from the homie on the corner if he had that Booty Talk 93. Like, you had to actually put effort into it.
Or a magazine.
Now everywhere you go, you inundated with it. And that's just fueling that primitive urge of sex and /entertainment more than any other generation of man has had to deal with. So yes, the responsibility is still on us, but I think at large, society has to have more appreciation for what we're going through, the war we're going through as far as keeping that man in pocket.
So with all of that going on, why don't we necessarily express, that we're going through that, let's say, with our lady, so we don't have to succumb to just trying to cheat. We can, navigate through what I think I hear you saying is we need some other avenues to be able to
redistribute that energy.
Yeah. So why is it so hard, or why don't we express to the lady that we with per se, that we need what we need?
Because we scared. you can run through all the women in the world to a certain degree, but let you get your hands on one that actually connects to this. We don't want to see that go in no way, shape, or form, and we know we are at our greatest risk of that type of woman leaving us if she finds out, like, the real us, the shadow. Even just as far as this particular dynamic, it's a lot of other layers to shadow work. But for most men, that's why I'm writing a book that'll be dropping next year. Wow. Memoirs of a Former Fuckboy. We could curse, right? Yeah, Memoirs of a Former Fuckboy, where I'm going to be telling my journey when I was out here moving and shaking. And I'm going to kind of slip the medicine in the dog food, because if I just put out a meditation book, nobody cares.
Right.
If it's something juicy, like what was Docs out here doing before he was Brick City Buddha, people want to read it, and now I can actually slip in the tools and techniques, not just tell my story, but give my brothers pretty much like a step-by-step, Bible approach from my particular, gospel of how I was able to heal that. But most men scared of losing their women, man. They don't want to have that conversation, even if it's prior to them actually stepping out. Just to, you getting to know a woman, and 9 times out of 10, there's not a specific conversation that we exclusive now, right? It just kind of, we vibe 3-4 months in, and the expectation usually comes from the woman that, all right, I done left all my hoes. I'm expecting that you have done the same thing. We don't even have that conversation. And if we do, a lot of times women don't open the door to ask a man, where are you really at in this journey? How good are you at being able to keep it in your pants? Have you ever been able to do that for an extended period of time? And if the woman is not forthright, the man is definitely not going to say something. He's going to do his best on the back end to try to clean up his game to keep this woman around. But 9 times out of 10, he's just going to revert back to what he's been conditioned to believe is natural for him. Because I don't believe infidelity is natural. It's been programmed into us, right? To want more than one woman to a certain degree, there's a naturalness to it, but the cheating, the infidelity is being deceitful about it. That's the part that I feel like has been programmed into us and broken up homes, of course, in our culture, but, all over the world.
So what's the karma behind playing with women? If, he's doing all this and, he doesn't have these tools, what's the karma behind all of that?
So the karma behind him cheating and all of that?
Yeah, him playing around, what's that karma looking like?
I posted about this, I think, a couple months ago, and dudes was a little upset about it. It kind of went viral on Facebook. I forgot the name of the post, but I was pretty much relaying that at the time where I was mad at God for what was going on with my kidney. I thought I was a good dude. I was, right? But women are, to a large degree, in certain ways, the most powerful beings on this planet. So you violate that, like, that's the closest we get to God. You gonna violate God, my nigga? It's gonna be some consequences and repercussions. So at a certain point, when I started to heal, I went on my year of celibacy like we talked about before. I was compelled to start sending texts, making phone calls to the women I could get in contact with that I had damaged in some way, shape, or form. Because the awareness had came online, it wasn't God being mad at me. It wasn't the world not being shit or people doing particular things to me that caused so much stress, kidney conk out, go blind. A huge part of that was the damage I was inflicting on these women. Wow. And I felt like I was exonerated in the process as long as I was semi-truthful, right? I would tell them, I don't want nothing more than just this.
Right.
I wouldn't tell them I hadn't had a girl for 13 years. I just told them I don't want nothing more than this, but I felt like that was enough truth for them to be able to make the proper choice. You're gonna rock with me or not. And when you are a good man, you got, some level of magnetism to you. A lot of women have never been around that. And this is before I leveled up spiritually, but to a large degree, I had a good heart. I was intelligent. I was soft-spoken around women. When I'm in the streets, it was a different thing. But they had never been around energy that made them feel safe to a certain degree. So that's explosive energy to play around with and just say, well, I told you we was on this level. Why are you catching feelings? My nigga, what are you talking about? You in there digging in them guts like you been married to this woman for 40 years and you mad at her for catching feelings?
Right.
So we gotta be responsible with the type of energy that we bring into the table, especially when you good at what you do in that department and you got something going for yourself. That's extremely hard for women not to attach to and to have to just hit that wall when you tell them, nah, I can't do this with you no more, and they just go into the rest of their life and maybe 3-4 relationships down the road, and you still got a piece of their heart.
Right.
You got to wear that in some way, shape, or form. Finances, health, mental imbalances, you're going to wear that in some way, shape, or form at some point. So brothers got to realize that. It's not a game.
Sacred energy exchange.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you doing that, that touch is just like that breakup. Like I heard the analogy that it's literally a break.
Yeah.
Like you're detaching, you know, like spiritually.
Yeah.
You know, y'all traded DNA, you know, body heat, pores open.
Yeah. Pull your arm off right now. See how you feel. Like, you know what I mean? And Sadhguru said that's why breaking up is so hard. Y'all can look that up on YouTube. Sadhguru, why breakups are so hard. But when you share that energy, y'all literally merge into one spirit for that time while y'all dealing. Not just the sexual aspect, but even the times where y'all not having sex, but y'all still in that rhythm, y'all still in that energy. To a certain degree, y'all have merged. When it's time to separate that, you are literally pulling piece of yourself out of yourself now. So that's extremely powerful energy to just think, oh yeah, I could just fucking, that's it. Like, nah, it's gonna come back. And I wouldn't have made it to my wife without having rectified that energy. And not just sending the I'm sorry text in ways where a lot of those women, because they probably didn't want to hear what I had to say or I couldn't find them, meditations, intentional meditations on wherever their hearts are in the world, sending gratitude, sending apologetic energy, even if I couldn't actually reach them with my voice. Spent a lot of time working on that type of stuff, not for the benefit of getting a wife in the long run. That was a byproduct. But that's how seriously I started to take what I was putting out to the feminine divine, and how it was coming back to me.
So that's one way that you can gain dick control to help our brothers to, you know, start to do something different than what they was previously doing for not knowing. When you know better, you do better. So what are some ways that our fellow dads, you know, could gain some strength and have some better dick control?
Get with somebody, whoever you feel comfortable with, that has those keys, that knows that science, and it's a bunch of different ways you could approach that. Of course, I'm one, but if you don't feel comfortable with me, do your due diligence. Just like when a Jay-Z or Nas album come out, or some gossip and tea, we'll go right to Google and do our due diligence to research that. But things that could actually affect your life, you forget you have this wealth of knowledge everywhere. Like I'll be on social media, I post some information, and people will literally ask me question after question about the fallout of the information I gave. Like, my nigga, you got Google. Like, I had to do the same digging. So that's one. Find a professional that can help you in some way, shape, or form.
That's one.
Yeah. Two, as far as my approach, the system of yoga, right? And I say the system because a lot of us hear the word yoga. We just think the stretches, right? Which is still beautiful. But yoga is a complete, comprehensive science of the self. It's a whole system comprised of concentration, meditation, pranayama, the regulation of your energy via breath. And when you incorporate this system, you kind of like siphon that energy back from those 4 primitive urges we talked about. Okay. And now you plug into a deeper source where, like Kanye said, how I stay faithful in a room full of hoes. The only way I was going to be able to, no disrespect, the women I'm around is not hoes, but you get where I'm coming from. A bar. Right, I could be around all these beautiful women that is not just not just physically beautiful, but they align with me in a lot of ways. I'm constantly around that. When my wife is around or not, I'm not at the whim of those energies because one, my wife has tapped into a piece of my soul no woman ever came close to. And she was able to do that before we even connected in the flesh. And then two, I'm not even relying on her energy sexually because I'm plugged in directly to source. So for me, the system of yoga is how I do that. But of course, there's many different ideologies and systems. You got to figure out what works for you. But you got to be investigative. Just like you look at the stats to pick your picks for fantasy sports, take that same approach. Dig in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because for myself, when I went through that period of celibacy,
how long was yours?
7 years.
Oh yeah, you got me beat by a long
7 years.
Man.
So
I'm thinking my one was something.
No, it was just focused on that. Like seriously, just putting my time and energy, allocating it to that.
Did you masturbate?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
so I got you.
Yeah, you definitely.
I ain't do nothing.
Yeah, I had moments where it was, but
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But you know, like definitely like hot yoga. We definitely did that with Tori. Tori and I hot yoga for like 3 months straight. Doing the hot yoga, the stretches. It was consistency, building up the discipline. You know, because especially us men, we definitely need that definitely consistency. You know, that helped out a lot because it was like pushing through. It was hot. You know, and getting into uncomfortable situations. So that's what we do as men anyway. You know, as dads. You know, uncomfortable situations. You've been a father or having to do something different or something out your comfort zone to make sure that your child, your son or your daughter get what they get. So that definitely was like a big one. Praying, meditating, eating. You know, that was one for
how
me.
you eat, absolutely.
Yeah, that helped out a lot. You know, and just the people that was around. You know, getting up with you, seeing you, Blueberry. You know, meditating with you. You know, so like I'm a believer, or what you want to say, someone that have used or went to docs and applied the stuff that he was saying. You know, he ain't paid me to say that. But,
Fact.
you know, I've gone plenty of time, me and wifey. So, you know, the Peace in the Park's amazing. You know, the vendors that's out there, just seeing the community, seeing what you've done just over the years and the trials and tribulations that you've come from, just giving that love out, you know, and that was just very beneficial. So that's another thing, just having a community.
Community, absolutely.
You know, we need that as men. That helps out because you hear other stories, other testimonies, you know, sharing out. Oh, yeah, you know, you were celibate, you know, but, oh, yo, did you masturbate? Yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? Being comfortable with being able to say that.
Exactly.
This is a safe space like we opened it up with, you know, so we need, you know, things and avenues like that, and whichever one works for you. Like you said, you just pick what works for you, and it just goes a long way.
Yeah, I will throw one more out there, well, two more. Certain breath work that's extremely powerful and simple. It's called 1-to-1 breath, where you either, I mean, preferably you want to lay down, but even if you're in the car, you at your desk at work, whatever it is, you pretty much are breathing in the same amount of time that you're breathing out, right?
Okay.
So you will be breathing in through the nostrils, smooth, slow, full breaths, but you're going to direct the flow of that, the energy of that breath, as if it's spilling from your feet through the whole body to the top of the head, and you will be counting 1, 2, 3. And when that 4 hits the top of the head, there's no pause, no break between inhale and exhale. It's like the inhalation is handing the baton of breath over to the exhalation, and then 2, 3, 4. You do that 3 to 5 minutes. I don't care how horny you is. I don't care how fat the ass was. You do that, and then do another thing I recommend to people, which is the 2-minute rule, where you feel a desire come up from a program that you're trying to break. Even if you end up eating the cake, y'all can take that how y'all want to, right? Even if you end up doing it, right? Do that breath that I just taught you how to do, and then give yourself 2 minutes, close your eyes, and just let the thoughts process. Let the energy of those desires process. 9 times out of 10, just that 2 minutes along with the breath work will allow a lot of that thought traffic to funnel out. You may get to that end of the 2 minutes and have forgot what you was even thinking about before, and be able to go to the next thing. So couple 1-to-1 with the 2-minute rule. That was some of the stuff I was doing for myself. Yeah.
That's good. We need that.
Yeah.
Because we need all the tools that we need, you know, in our toolkit to help us to be successful. You know, so what are some, you know, ways that the fellas can, you know, get strengthened in when it comes to being better financially, spiritually, emotionally? How can they, you know, get better in those avenues there, you know, from your perspective? Because we need those, you know, those ways, you know, strong as well. Because if not, that's not an avenue that we able to go down. If our bills are not aligned, you know, that's stress, which is going to lead to doing more stuff that's going to lead to further karma that we don't want. So, you know, how can, you know, we heal up in those areas to be strong?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a simple answer. Like, it's not fancy, it's not super spiritual, but it's extremely effective. And it leads to how to do what you just asked. Whenever I work with brothers, whether counseling or we just chopping it up, I usually ask them one of these 2 questions. First question is, what do you do in your life that's just for you? Just for your enjoyment? Because, dads, head of households and all this different stuff. So the majority of what we do throughout the course of a day is for somebody else's gain, which is beautiful. But you still gotta have something that's just for you and just for you consistently. Not once every 6 months. So what is that thing that you do just for yourself 9 times out of 10? When I ask that question, it's just blank stares. Like, I have no idea, right? And then the second question is, how do you incorporate play into your life, right? And I don't necessarily just mean hopping on the game. I mean some form of like old school play. When we ain't have the games out here and all of that, you had to hit the streets and figure out something to entertain yourself. So those two things open up, I found from my own experiences, men I've worked with, people in general, but they start to open certain synapses, right? They allow certain grooves in your mind to fire in different ways, because whenever the inner child comes to surface, when you playing, it don't matter how much stress is on your plate. When you are in genuine play and laughing, you're not thinking about bills, right? You're not even thinking about how to level up or balance yourself. You are completely present in that moment. So if you start to do that, that will open up those channels of your spirit, your higher mind, that now has the space to start to send you those downloads of what's going to work for your particular template. Because I could give you all the techniques and tools till I'm blue in the face. This is my template. I still had to create space and time to get my own specific downloads that wasn't in no book that I read for the first 3-4 years of my journey. I was book hungry and heavy, and then it got to the point where it's like, well, let me read this book, right? Because that's what worked for them. I was able to take my bits and pieces. But when I started to just acknowledge playing, taking myself on dates, hitting the swing, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, that people will look at me. It's a grown-ass man on the swing right now. There's nobody at the park. It's the middle of the day. Why you ain't at work, right? These are the moments that really started to open me up. And the download maybe didn't come while I was on the swing. The download maybe came 3-4 days later, but just that moment of the world don't exist to me right now except for the inertia of going up and down on this swing. That's the moments that really started to tap me into my own template. So find a way to play. Find that thing that's only for you, that's not about nobody else's benefit, and do it as consistently as possible. Plan to do it. Create a system of mental signposts to remember to do it, because that thought traffic will knock that thought out of your head.
So with us fathers, right, we know that we play an important role. So how does food, meditation afford you as a dad the ability to connect with purpose, women, child, and community? And what's some tactics that we can use to be able to build our own type of template to continue on? Because it's a domino effect.
I'm gonna do it backwards. I'm gonna answer from like watching my son.
Okay.
You got a great mom. You got a great support system while he's in Jersey. I've, for a long time, I'm not gonna say strict with my diet, I'm gonna say like really committed and dedicated to the point now it don't even feel like commitment. This is just how I eat. And of course, I've been able to see the benefits, all the healing for my body and things of that nature. But the difference in his behavioral patterns when he's here and a little bit more lax, a lot of carbs, a lot of fried foods and stuff like that, still vegan, still plant-based, but it's levels, right?
Right.
So he's been with me for the whole summer, and me and his mom have been talking about this going back and forth. He been in boot camp pretty much as far as his eating. He don't realize that though, because one, I've given so much time and effort to discovering not just what I like, but the things I don't have access to that I used to like. I'm gonna figure out a way to make it, to master it.
Right.
So I got a pretty diverse menu of things I'm able to make. So when exploring that with him, when he's there, they like, no, he's not gonna eat this. He don't eat salad. He ate salad every single day he was with me, right? I did have to listen to him and how he liked his salad. Mine be a little more bunchy. He likes his like shredded, like cut up into little shreds. He only went to tomatoes. He a whole avocado head now. He went his little cucumbers. He didn't like cucumbers at first. And his chia seeds, nutritional yeast, and his balsamic, right? I had to figure out how to make it palatable for him. I got this young man eating kimchi, right? Vegan kimchi. He had okra stew for the first time the other day.
Wait, what's kimchi for the people?
So kimchi is great for gut health. Like things like sauerkraut, fermented foods pretty much. They help to ramp up the digestive acids in your stomach and help you to break things down. So kimchi is almost like an Asian version of what we would consider sauerkraut. Okay. Like cabbage, carrot, stuff like that. It's fire if you can find the right one. Gotcha. His palate shouldn't be able to appreciate that. I'm thinking he's not gonna like it. He like, I want to taste it. Gave it to him. He like, oh my God. But I say all that to say that the whole time he was with me for the summer, not one emotional outburst, right? Pretty much every week is 2 to 3 times where like he wilding out while he's with his mom. And of course, it's something to be said for just masculine energy. We could look at our kid, say it a certain way, and they're gonna respond. But there's also something to be said for how the frequency of the foods we eat can even affect us as men, even at 4 years old. Because he been back home one day. He's going 2 months, no emotional outbursts. And when I was on the phone with him, he was eating some Lay's barbecue chips. Not the worst, definitely not the best, definitely not what he's been eating. Right. An hour later, I get a phone call. He wilded out. He didn't want to talk to his aunt for whatever reason. He was tired. You know, he'd been traveling, had a long day at school. And I've been teaching him to don't just get mad, express yourself. Right. Say what you feel before you just go straight to get mad and having a consequence. He forgot to do that in that moment. And yes, Lay's barbecue chips may seem light. Every piece of energy we put into our body, the thoughts, the food, the emotions, all has an impact and is going to come out pretty much in the same frequency it went in. So I was able to remind his mom, you know, he just had 2 months of extremely clean eating. He done slimmed down. She was able to notice his skin looked great. The bag of chips is going to have consequences and repercussions. So being able to see that in my son and me being somebody who had to heal from kidney disease, seeing my mother being diabetic, she's currently on chemo, seeing my father going to the hospital, him getting certain reports, I realize now how important it was for me to be the cog that broke the cycle, right? Our brothers would be quick to the picket line to march when one of us gets shot by a cop. But we don't take that same approach when it's like, yo, I got to stop this cycle in my family. And to see my parents, to see me having broken it, and to see me having handed over to him that lineage that I've been able to establish is extremely important. It's life or death, how we treat our bodies as far as the food and what we do with our families.
So with our families, you know, and our fellas that go through different things, because we want to help our brothers on different aspects of the healing. When it comes to that, you know, for the men that's waiting during the court process, you know, or for waiting for his lady or, you know, the mother of his children to heal past traumas or trauma, you know, that they cause to them, but just waiting for yourself to heal. What's, you know, how can we be more like patient, you know, with women or with ourselves? What can we as men do during this waiting process?
That's kind of a paradox, a little bit of a contradiction. And most people won't realize it. And patience is part of waiting. Okay. You can't wait without some level of impatience. So I would advocate, stop waiting. That's another thing I had to realize, like even with some of the food stuff, me and his mom have had great moments in co-parenting, some not so great. We still figuring out our rhythm. Right now, we just had a great conversation maybe about a week ago. We was able to come into some more balance. But to a large degree, like maybe 2 months ago, like shit really kind of hit the fan with us. And it did so in a way where I realized while I'm away, it's really nothing I could do. Like with the wall she had put up, as far as what I was asking about, you know, his health, how he was eating, it was nothing I could do, right? I could have continued to be mad. I could have called her every day and just argue her down. A huge part of my spirit wanted to do that. That would have just caused more conflict. And I understand how fragile my system is to stress, part of why my kidney conked out before, could easily go back to that. So I had to realize I can't try to save my son from whatever imbalances I may perceive in his world, whoever they may come from. All I could do is max out in what I could do as a father when I'm on the phone with him or when he's with me in my presence, max out on that. And as difficult as it may be for some men, outside of that time, you gotta live your life. If you living, you're not waiting for nothing. right? And when I'm not with my son, of course, that transition when I first moved to Houston, that last 3 months before I moved, like my nigga, it was many nights I did not go to sleep crying in my apartment by myself, right? Nobody was able to see that but me and God. It was extremely difficult when I got to Houston, thinking I'm letting my son down, this, that, and the third. But when shit really hit the fan, I was able to understand, like, to a large degree, I'm not the big dog as far as his parent. Life is. And whatever that's gonna look like for him, pain is included in love too. I know his mother love him. I know his support system does too. But we all gonna have different ways of going about things that we may not agree with to and fro. As long as I stay on my square and in my peace, and I can't do that if I'm waiting and being impatient on when I'm gonna get to have him in my house permanently or when they gonna get things together with how they feed him. I just gotta max out, exhaust possibility, and let go, like we talked about before. But if you're waiting for that court to make that decision, if you're waiting for your baby moms to get things right, you always gonna be in some level of distress and impatience. So stop waiting. Max out with your child, but live your life too. Yeah.
And focus on what you got to get done.
Exactly.
Because what we say in the social work world is the client or the person that you interacting with, we all know what we need, basically.
Exactly.
So it's like, in the meantime, between time, get your stuff in order because it's something that we always could be, working on, whether that's not necessarily working.
Right.
It could be self-care or,
Right.
That's something working towards something,
Right.
So it's just directing that energy towards something that you can actually do instead of focusing on the stuff that you're not able to do.
Which is still going to funnel into your child anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And the seeds that you plant in the time that you are able to get, you're able to, expound on that because when you back up, those seeds that you planted are able to get watered.
Exactly.
And it all come to, the pass. So when it comes to like fathers and whatnot, it's like, going through the court process or just learning that, I gotta stop and I gotta wait. We got past that part. How can, the fathers or the men, us men, have like our family members or our support system hear our voice? Like, what are some things that, those men or men as in general, could do to get the support system to hear the voice? Because, at times when you in certain situations as men where you have, single parenting homes or, y'all broke up or what have you, or y'all together, y'all and girlfriend, boyfriend or husband, wife or what have you, it comes a point where even in like the Tyler Perry movie where the men wasn't respected, he was like, yo, so like, what are some things that men could do to get their support system to hear them out?
Yeah, we gotta really do a lot of work on our throat chakras. And even if you're not into the throat chakra stuff and all of that, it's real, but I understand everybody's at different parts of their journey, different belief systems. One, we gotta get comfortable expressing ourselves. Not just when shit hits 100. When your meter of emotion goes to 1 and you slightly annoyed, or you slightly feel something that kind of bothered you, we so used to just eating it to try to function through it because we the man and you're just supposed to be comfortable wearing the world on your shoulders and nobody cares about what we think or feel. We get in that rhythm, and by the time we become adults and fathers and husbands, we have this program of not saying what we got to say until it's a dire need, somebody dying or divorce or somebody going to jail. You got to be able to recognize when that meter hits 1 before it goes to 99. And when it hits 1, that means your spirit has something to communicate to you, and you have something to communicate to somebody, whether that's yourself, your baby moms, your family members, whatever it is. So learn how to express yourself every time you feel a tick of your emotional meter. Now, once you get comfortable with that, you got to fine tune how you express. You have to be able to tap into creative forms of expression. If your voice ain't working, no matter how tactful you may be in your conversation, soft-spoken, non-threatening, if the voice ain't doing it, you may need to write a letter, right? You may need to draw a painting or find some other form of communication to relay that message. And sometimes you could go through the whole gamut and it still don't come through, right? They still don't hear you. But at least you know you maxed out, and in doing that, at least you could rest knowing I exhausted possibility. This particular piece of balance I'm speaking up for, maybe it's not meant right now. But to a large degree, we doing double work because when we not saying it, If we do say it, we not doing the work to know how to do that effectively. And then you got to carry the weight of not being able to resolve. Masculine energy is all about solutions, problem solving, resolution. If we can't do that, we feel like less of men, right? So you
Absolutely.
carrying 3 different bags by not doing the necessary work to be able to fine tune that throat chakra, fine tune your voice. And you don't do that just with your family. At work, boss going off on you, you gotta be a soldier to the degree I'm gonna express myself even at my place of employment, even if it means I'm gonna get fired.
Right.
So be it, right? God gonna have something else for me, but we gotta be that defiant in how we express ourselves, especially as men and black men, because the world, our community, society has silenced us so much. We gotta kind of push back against that. So find a way to purify that energy for yourself. Yeah.
Wow. So it's like you have to do what AI say. And it's crazy that you even got to say this, but the real AI, not the fake AI. But we practice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, because when you put the practice in, it builds up the muscle memory, you know, so it gets you that confidence to start off low and then be able to, you know, work your way up to the bigger stuff, you know, such as being able to deal with like our fellas that have to deal with our sisters, you know, that unfortunately tell lies to the children. You know, so now those relationships are, you know, damaged. You know, so what's some advice for our fellas that go through those situations?
Which type of damage though?
As far as, you know, not talking to one another, you know, the daughter or the son not talking to the father based upon lies that was told to the children. You know, your father wasn't there or your father ain't want you, but those was lies. So now the relationship is damaged. You know, the father is not able to connect with those children based upon lies, you know, and the father want to, you know, connect, but the children feel away. The children really want to connect, but the mother, you know, and they got this notion, but they really want to, they got that hard exterior, you know. So what's some advice for those fathers that go through those particular situations?
Yeah, that's an extremely tough situation for brothers that's going through that. Really the only thing you can do, because of course, if that's the case, you know, unless you're trying to go the court route and trying to get it settled that way, you can't force your way. You know what I mean? You can't, especially if you're not in that household, deflect every single lie and defend yourself and all that type of stuff that the mother may be telling the children. So at that point, it would seem like your soul's mission in that type of situation is to a certain degree acceptance and trust that God gonna work it out, right? You do the best you can as the man you are, as the father you can potentially be in whatever way you can. And it ain't gonna be easy. That ain't gonna feel good. I have not had to be in that situation. Me and my son's mother got our stuff, but never to that degree. But yeah, in that particular situation, the only thing that you can max out in is your acceptance and your trust and being the best man you could be. Yeah.
And talking about what we discussed early on, having that karma, you know, lifted off of you from doing what you need to do to stop doing stuff.
Exactly.
You know, it allows you to hold space for yourself to be able to handle when you get to that level, to be able to trust.
Right.
You know, so all the pre-work is important because we deal with this stuff anyway. You know, so why not get laced with the tools that we gonna use that's really gonna be effective. They don't get us into further stupid stuff that we don't want to be in.
And karma is not a straight line. It's gonna always take the back route. So you may have done something to person, place, or thing at different junctions in your life that had nothing to do with fatherhood. That may be a particular space where you gotta wear some of the karma you put out from this life or previous life cycles. So everything balances out how it's supposed to. We just got to be able to ride the wave and do the best with what we got in front of us. Yeah.
That's some great advice. So segue into our caboose of the show, as we would say, questions. For the men that's, you know, feeling like giving up, deciding to dog women out for the rest of their life, or wanting to end on all, can you give a word of advice?
You said to the men that want to dog women out?
For the, you know, it's just several. So we got to, you know, break it down type question. So it's one, for the men, those type of men that's feeling like giving up or deciding to dog women out for the rest of their life, or wanting to end it all. Can you give some like word of advice? So it's like 3 different type of dudes. You know, one, for the men that's feel like giving up. what kind of advice could you give to them?
This gonna sound crazy. I had to give up. I had to get to like the precipice of that mountain of, am I gonna do this shit or not? Like I attempted suicide. I'm not telling nobody to do that. I'm saying like completely dive into your rock bottom. Because a lot of times we'll play with it, like we'll kind of do the double dutch, and you'll be close to your rock bottom, but you still, you know, I can call something through on Thursday and Saturday, bust something down and feel good for 15, 20 minutes. I'm saying remove all those crutches. Remove all those energies that may be kind of sugarcoating or painting over the fact that rock bottom is right here, ready to be the soil for you to build the next version of yourself. But you've been doing double dutch for 10 years with the club, right? With smoking, with drinking, with the randoms that you're running through. Allow yourself to break. I think Sabrina Claudio got a song, I forgot the name of it, where she said breaking is freeing, right? Just break. Once I finally allowed myself to break, to die, that's when that soil got the nutrients it needed from my pain, which gradually started to work itself back into this version of myself that's now sitting before you. So that would be my advice. Allow yourself to break. Yeah.
And would that advice contribute to the dogs, to the fellas that want a dog, to the fellas that want to dog women out for the rest of their life? Would that advice, work for them as well, or
dog them, my nigga, like, because it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna dog to a point where you're gonna get your ass kicked by life in some way, shape, or form. Like I said in one of my songs, karma is undefeated, right? So max out that program as long as you feel the need to. And not everybody here in this life cycle, in this form that their soul has taken, is here to break the program. Not everybody is here to heal or become the type of men that we've been privileged to be able to become. We did a lot of work in our soul's journey to be in these forms right now. So you also got to understand where you are at on that timeline. And if you somebody that's in that pocket, you just want dog, do your thing, bro. The soul is going to ripen when it's supposed to ripen, and you'll feel that compulsion that, you know what, I don't want to do that shit no more. Everybody's at different pockets, so respect to the dogs, they got their place too, and they teach lessons as well.
Those are some hardcore lessons right there.
I ain't gonna sugarcoat the shit. It is what it is. Like,
you gotta give it for real what it is. Keep it a stack. That's what help us grow as men anyway. So do you have any like last, advice, remarks, just towards just the fellas out there, just to be able to help out, the fathers, just men in general, that's, on their healing journey? Yeah,
nothing is permanent. As painful as a moment or an experience may seem, in that moment and during that moment, yes, it's your reality. But the highest heights I've achieved or felt in this human experience, the lowest lows, all of them got one thing in common. They did this. They came and went. And when you don't have the distance from your emotions, from your thoughts to be able to recognize everything is just a passing wave, then you think and you kind of extrapolate, I'm gonna have to deal with this shit for the rest of my life. I remember I spoke about this in previous episodes, but I bring it up again with a different nuance. When I was on disability and I had paid my bills for that month off of disability, I wanted to get something to eat, had the $77 in my account. At that time, I was able to notice, because I had so much distance, all the different projections that those two numbers caused me to make. All right, I'm on disability. I've been fired from 5 straight jobs. I can't even go get a manual labor job because I could re-injure my eye. So I'm gonna have to get up some money, figure out a way to go back to school. That's gonna take 5, 6, 7 years. I'm gonna be 45 years old before I even get my footing under me. And I was able to catch myself. Right now, none of that shit exists. If it happens, let it come when it's supposed to come. But when I was able to eject myself from those passing waves of projection, within 2 months, I had got the download, start teaching meditation. Within a year, free classes turned into my platform. And from that point, my platform has blossomed into all these different things. That don't happen if I stayed attached to those passing waves of thoughts and emotions attached to $77. So if you had a rough day with your lady, with your child, your baby mother, life in general, you got fired from a job today, how you feel right now is valid. But understand, everything comes and goes. Nothing is permanent.
Nothing is permanent. So fellas, you hear that? Dads, single dads that's married, fellas, we gotta, we have no excuses.
Gotta ride the wave. Yeah.
Gotta ride the wave because we have a lot of resources out here. And Docs, you said you have a book that's coming out?
Yeah, so Memoirs of a Former Fuckboy. I remember, what was the book by Iceberg Slim? Studio audience, can y'all help me? Pimp, right? Pimp, and it was different. For those who have read Pimp, like when I was coming up in, the 90s, I was very much so into the poetry circuit. It's not a poetry book, but it's from the perspective of a particular pimp in his time and how the philosophy of how he was controlling women, right? So when I was on that bag, just trying to bag women, that was a Bible for me, right? Now trying to help men break this program, I'm gonna use my story and of course the tools and techniques I've also been able to acquire to break these programs. I'm gonna put it all into one pocket to be able to give to the world, to my brothers, to just understand this can be done. You don't got to be a slave to your dick for the rest of your life.
So
it's coming next year.
Next year, about first quarter, second quarter.
I was gung ho when I had the idea 5 years ago, watching my wife create her book in a month, seeing her wake up 3 a.m. and go to like 7 o'clock at night. It was like, nah, bro, it's time. And now that a lot more men are coming to me for the past 3 years. So I'm 3 chapters in. I had my son for the summer. So when I go back to Houston, I'm gonna really dive in. I'm trying to complete it by the end of the year and have it out first quarter next year.
First quarter. Yeah. And you could plug Wifey book in as well.
Absolutely. So my wife's book is out right now. It's called Remember Who the Fuck You Are. No coincidence, she got fuck in her book, I got fuck in my book. We such soulmates, right? But yeah, Remember Who the Fuck You Are is out right now on all platforms. Make sure y'all hit up my wife. A lot of her story is in it as well, but it's also like a self-help approach mixed in with her very real, genuine story. She got a bunch of journal prompts, so you don't just read the book. She advocates you only read a chapter at a time, and then you work with the journal prompts, which have particular questions to inspire your own healing based on what you just read. So it's super interactive and comprehensive. I think she's approaching 1,500 copies sold in like a month and change.
Wow.
Right?
Awesome.
So yeah, just keep supporting that, and the feedback she's been getting, especially from women, this book has been changing a lot of lives already. So please support my wife, y'all.
Yes, please do, because that allows you, fellas, to be able to have your environment, settled and healed up. And we know when our environment healed up and settled, it allows us to be able to be at ease as well, because we want our ladies to be at ease. So get the book, expect Doc's book to be out, next year. I have a song, I have a video out as Are Overcome. The video out, the single, Focus Attention as well, streaming on all platforms. So we have a lot of tools that help us out. We have books, we have meditation sessions, we have counseling sessions, whether you got couple sessions or one-on-one sessions. I've done one-on-one sessions with Doc. I've been to meditation sessions. So we have a lot of toolkits that's in our belt that we're just sharing, with our fellas, because we need this community. Our ladies have their community. They go and get their hair done, their nails done, and they go to shopping. They do a lot of stuff.
Right.
They have their outlets where they are able to express and get that, that practice that he was talking about early on, so we need that. So, dive into the stuff that we talked about, replay it, because sometimes we need to soak it in.
Absolutely.
And, stay tuned, because we know Docs is always going to be around,
Facts.
Any last remarks before we
head out? One last thing I wanted to plug too. Shout out to my brother Detox that I was doing blindfolded speed meeting with for about 4 years at Above Art Studios, Black-owned art gallery, New Brunswick, New Jersey. We had our men's meetings prior to quarantine for about 2 years, which is super powerful. We are bringing that back. We are partnering with Melanated Moms, which is a big organization, and we now are going to spearhead Melanated Dads, which is going to be a virtual monthly platform for us to be able to connect, but we also going to focus on law, regulation, and that type of stuff, so we can actually get some things in place for fathers who feel like they don't have voice or rights when it comes to the courtroom. So we will be having our first meeting, I believe, it's still August? Yeah, September. I'll be putting up the flyer and promoting for that this week. So if y'all watch this, reach out to whoever you got to get that information and invite all the men, all the fathers into that forum.
Definitely, definitely.
Yep.
And how old is your son?
4. He's gonna be 5 on Halloween, going on 79,000. Yeah.
My son just turned 14, high school scholar. So just shout out to our sons. Shout out to you, Dad, because
Motto.
we are important.
I love you, bro.
LJ, or Rock Bang Out, whatever one. But shout out to us as dads, as well as the other dads that's out there, because we are important. And, stay tuned. We'll have our stuff in the description where you can, touch base on the sessions and, everything that docs have to provide. And shout out to Tori as well as the host. She always doing her thing, never missed. Always, because she always with us. So shout out to TK. She got services as well to help out with our ladies, to help out our environment as well. So we here, this hip hop. We gonna heal up. Happy 50th to hip hop as well. All the hip hop heads that's out there. So shout out to y'all. This is Health and Hip Hop Podcast Show. This was another great show with our man Docs for the umpteenth 11th time. He was with us and plenty more to go. Love y'all.
Gang, gang.
Before you go, though, y'all could just do your intro one more time. Now that you warmed up,
Okay.
just like bring it in like you about to start, and then we can keep one of the two.
Gotcha.
So also make sure you give him a chance to say where he at. So the algorithm stuff you talked about, make sure you give him a chance to shout out his platform and stuff.
Gotcha.
He can introduce some services in his platform. But yeah, so just do it one more time. Make a pick between the two.
Gotcha.
Like you warmed up now.
Gotcha.
You go ahead whenever you
All right. Yo, this is Composer Rell, and we back with the Health and Hip Hop Podcast Show. We got another great episode with y'all today. I am the co-host. As you see, our girl Tori Key, she isn't with us today. However, she's always with us because she's always doing her thing, However, we got another special guest with us today. He gonna introduce himself. However, when you finish watching this great show and picking those jewels from what we gonna say today, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you share with somebody that you want somebody to get some jewels too. Don't be saving all the stuff to yourself. Make sure you give it all back. We want to spread this wealth out to our dads that's out there that need to give right too, or just want to elevate. As well as make sure you watch the show when it's over so you can see and get it back, or watch our other episodes as well, because we got a host of other ones. Why? Because it help us out in a whole other way and helping our algorithm. So help us out, Health and Hip Hop Podcast Show. Who we got with us today?
It's your boy, Docs Diggla, also known as Brick City Buddha. Meditation I know I don't look like a meditation teacher and all that. I look like a rapper. I used to do that too. I dabble here and there, but meditation teacher, retreater. I don't even know how you say that. I do retreats, right? Me and my wife also do retreats in Pennsylvania, pretty much all over the world at this point. Couples therapist, one-on-one counselor, event coordinator, if you will, soon to be author, like we're gonna talk about soon. But yeah, I'm not a guest at this point. This is my 4th, and I'm about to do a 5th episode after this. So I'm extended family of the show at this point. So y'all gonna keep seeing me, and we're here right now.
He's been here
Your boy.
11th time.
Facts.
Glad to have you back with us, Docs.
Yep.